Welcome to our deep dive into the world's wealthiest economies and the poorest. In this video, we'll explore the intricate landscape of global wealth distribution projected for 2025, highlighting the remarkable economic performance of nations like the United States and China while also uncovering the challenges faced by developing regions such as sub-Saharan Africa. Join us as we unravel the stories of prosperity, struggle, and the key factors shaping economies across the globe, from Europe and Asia to Latin America and beyond. 1. Global wealth distribution in 2025. The world's wealth remains divided along stark lines, with the richest countries holding a majority of the planet's resources. According to the International Monetary Fund, as of 2025, the global GDP is over $110 trillion, but much of this is concentrated in just a handful of nations. The United States and China together account for nearly 40% of global output, showcasing the immense gap compared to the world's poorest regions. Many countries in sub-Saharan Africa and parts of South Asia continue to struggle with annual GDP per capita often below $1,000. These disparities aren't just numbers, they translate into different realities, from access to healthcare and education to basic human needs. The latest World Bank data highlights that over 700 million people worldwide still live in extreme poverty. This inequality remains a driving force for migration and social unrest, underscoring the urgent need for global cooperation. Even as some economies rapidly develop, others remain trapped in cycles of poverty. 2. The United States. Economic titan. The United States maintains its position as the largest economy globally, with a GDP nearing $26 trillion in 2025, as reported by the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. Its economy thrives on a diverse mix of industries, from technology and finance to agriculture and entertainment. Silicon Valley continues to lead in innovation, producing world-changing technologies and attracting talent from across the globe. Despite this immense wealth, economic inequality persists, with the top 10% of Americans owning over 70% of the country's assets, according to the Federal Reserve's 2025 report. The U.S. poverty rate hovers around 11%, highlighting that millions are still left behind. Consumer spending remains a crucial driver, making up about 70% of the economy's total output. Government policies often focus on stimulating growth, but the wealth gap remains a major concern for policymakers. The American economy is powerful, but its prosperity is not evenly shared. 3. China. The fastest-growing giant in China's economic journey over the past 5 decades has been nothing short of breathtaking, with a GDP now reaching $17 trillion, making it the second-largest economy. The nation's manufacturing prowess is the backbone of its growth, exporting goods worldwide and dominating sectors like electronics and textiles. However, China faces new challenges, including slowing growth rates, an aging population, and environmental concerns such as pollution and water scarcity. As outlined in recent government reports, the focus is shifting towards domestic consumption and high-tech industries, aiming to reduce dependency on exports. Urban-rural inequality remains stark, with city dwellers enjoying far higher incomes and better services than those in the countryside. The government's push for common prosperity is designed to close this gap but faces hurdles. Geopolitical tensions, especially with the United States, also cast uncertainty over China's continued rise. The country's future success will depend on its ability to adapt and innovate. 4. The European Union. United in diversity. The European Union, as a collective, boasts a GDP of roughly $18 trillion in 2025, making it one of the world's top economic regions. Germany, France, and Italy are the bloc's largest economies, while smaller nations like Luxembourg and Ireland enjoy some of the highest per capita incomes globally. Economic policies such as the European Green Deal are pushing the continent towards sustainability and digital transformation. However, disparities persist within the EU, with Eastern European countries like Bulgaria and Romania lagging in income and development. The pandemic's aftershocks in the early 2020s exposed vulnerabilities but also triggered ambitious recovery plans. Today, the EU's focus is on fostering innovation, green energy, and maintaining social welfare programs. Despite internal differences, the EU remains a formidable force in global trade and diplomacy. Inclusivity and cohesion are ongoing challenges as the Union strives to balance prosperity across all member states. 5. Japan. Stability and aging concerns. Japan's economy remains a global powerhouse with a GDP of $4.9 trillion in 2025, supported by advanced manufacturing and technology sectors. Renowned companies like Toyota, Sony, and Panasonic continue to set international standards. However, Japan faces a rapidly aging population and a shrinking workforce, issues that threaten long-term economic stability. The government has responded with policies to encourage higher birth rates and greater workforce participation by women and older citizens. Economic growth is slow but steady, with low unemployment and high life expectancy contributing to overall stability. Public debt is the highest among developed nations, now over 200% of GDP, which presents ongoing fiscal challenges. Despite these hurdles, Japanese innovation remains strong, especially in robotics and green technology. The country's resilience is a testament to its adaptability and forward-thinking policies. 6. India. Ascending on the world stage, India's economy has surged, reaching a GDP of $3.5 trillion in 2025, making it the world's fifth largest economy. Driven by a booming services sector, especially in IT and software, India is now a global tech hub, with Bangalore at its heart. Agriculture and manufacturing also remain significant, supporting millions of livelihoods. However, the country still grapples with widespread poverty. About 22% of its people live below the poverty line, according to the World Bank's latest figures. Unemployment and underemployment are pressing concerns, particularly among young people. Government initiatives like Make in India and digital payment systems are transforming the economic landscape, fostering entrepreneurship and investment. Infrastructure development is picking up, but gaps in transportation, health, and education remain. Income inequality is marked, with large disparities between urban and rural populations. 7. Sub-Saharan Africa. Struggling for prosperity. Sub-Saharan Africa remains at the lower end of the wealth spectrum, with many nations facing persistent poverty and underdevelopment. The region's combined GDP is less than $2 trillion, despite being home to over 1 billion people. Countries like Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya show promise, but nations such as Burundi and South Sudan have some of the world's lowest incomes, with GDP per capita often under $300. Factors including political instability, conflict, and limited access to education and healthcare exacerbate these challenges. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, launched to boost intra-African trade, is a beacon of hope, aiming to lift millions out of poverty. International investments in infrastructure and renewable energy are also on the rise, showing signs of progress. Still, rapid population growth and climate change threaten to outweigh these gains. The region's future depends on stability, education, and innovation. 8. Latin America. Promise and pitfalls. Latin America's economies vary dramatically, with Brazil and Mexico leading in size, each boasting GDPs above $1 trillion. The region is rich in resources, from oil in Venezuela to lithium in Chile and agricultural exports from Argentina. Yet, according to the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, nearly 30% of Latin Americans live in poverty. Political turmoil, corruption, and high crime rates are persistent obstacles to growth. Countries like Chile and Uruguay have made strides in renewable energy and social policies, setting examples for their neighbors. Economic inequality is severe, with small elite groups controlling most wealth. Investment in education and infrastructure is slowly improving prospects, but progress is uneven. The region's youthful population and natural resources provide opportunities for future growth if stability can be achieved. 9. The Middle East. Contrasts of wealth and hardship. The Middle East is a land of economic extremes, where oil-rich nations like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates enjoy high standards of living, while countries such as Yemen and Syria endure poverty and conflict. Saudi Arabia's GDP stands at about $1 trillion, while the UAE's is around $500 billion, powered largely by energy exports and state investments. These wealthy states are now investing heavily in tourism, technology, and renewable energy to reduce reliance on oil, as highlighted by Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. However, ongoing wars and humanitarian crises have devastated Yemen and Syria, whose economies have collapsed and where millions face dire poverty. Regional tensions and political instability threaten further development across the Middle East. The contrasts are striking, with gleaming skyscrapers in Dubai and widespread hardship in less fortunate areas. Economic diversification and peace are critical for the future stability of the region. 10. Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Transition and turmoil. Eastern Europe and Central Asia present a complex economic picture, with countries like Russia and Poland showing significant growth, while others struggle with the aftermath of political and economic transitions. Russia remains a major player, with a GDP close to $1.7 trillion in 2025, driven by energy exports, but faces sanctions and volatile commodity prices. Smaller nations like Georgia and Kyrgyzstan experience much lower GDP per capita and slow development. The legacy of Soviet-era policies still affects infrastructure and governance in many countries. Economic reforms have helped some countries integrate with the European Union and attract foreign investment. However, corruption and rule of law challenges remain widespread, hindering progress. War and political instability, particularly in Ukraine, have had a dramatic impact on regional economies. The region's future depends on stronger institutions, innovation, and regional cooperation. 11. Oceania. Prosperity and isolation. Oceania, led by Australia and New Zealand, stands out as a wealthy and stable region, with Australia's GDP exceeding $1.6 trillion in 2025. The area is known for its high quality of life, strong healthcare and education systems, and abundant natural resources. Smaller island nations like Fiji and Papua New Guinea, however, face economic challenges due to limited resources, isolation, and vulnerability to climate change. Tourism is a vital industry but can be easily disrupted by global events. The region is focusing on sustainability, clean energy, and regional collaboration to secure future prosperity. Trade relationships with Asia, especially China and Japan, are crucial drivers of economic activity. Efforts to boost digital connectivity and education are underway, but disparities between countries remain pronounced. 12. Key factors driving wealth and poverty. Several key factors explain why some countries are rich while others remain poor. Natural resources, such as oil, minerals, and fertile land, have historically played a significant role in national wealth. However, governance, political stability, education, and innovation are increasingly important in determining economic success. Countries with strong, transparent institutions tend to attract more investment and foster entrepreneurship. Access to quality healthcare and education allows people to reach their full potential and contribute to economic growth. Infrastructure, from roads and ports to digital networks, is another vital driver, enabling trade and connectivity. Globalization has benefited many, but also exposed vulnerabilities in the poorest nations. Addressing these factors is essential for narrowing the wealth gap and creating opportunities for all. 13. Global efforts to reduce inequality. International organizations such as the United Nations, World Bank, and IMF are leading efforts to reduce global inequality and poverty. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, adopted by all UN member states, aim to eradicate poverty, improve health and education, and promote gender equality by 2030. Major initiatives focus on increasing access to clean water, supporting small businesses, and fostering inclusive economic growth. Wealthier nations are encouraged to provide aid and invest in developing countries to help build infrastructure and human capital. Private sector involvement is also growing, with companies investing in sustainable projects and local economies. Trade agreements and development programs are designed to give poorer countries better access to global markets. These efforts are ongoing, but significant challenges remain as the world seeks to build a more equitable future.